warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Sarah Salsabila Ismail, and I would like to talk about conversation, critical discourse analysis. And yeah, please do ask questions regarding to that material.
What is critical discourse analysis?
So, critical discourse analysis is basically how do we analyze the underlying meaning of the text in the concept of social that discuss basically talking about race, race, gender, identity, ideologies, or social relation, power relation, and something like that. Does that satisfy your? All right.
Could you explain about the history of CDA?
So the history of the CDS basically come from the socialist that called Michael. I forgot the name Michael, but he's from France. So it's basically the terms of this came from the literature. So are in that moment, this CDA become interdisciplinary that have three branches that come from in linguistic, sociology, and literature. And in the linguistic, we are try to analyze the text and convey the meaning, and that is how the history of the CDA.
Basic term and tools.
So the basic terms, maybe you mean the basic principle. So the basic principle of CDA is there are power relations, and they are power relation are constructed are can be reflected in discourse. So by using discourse, we can understand how these people have power. I mean, based on discourse, we could see how the lectures power toward their students. That's how you define power relations. And after that, we have social and social and ideologies. How do we how discourse can reflect someone ideology. So when we're talking to someone, and maybe I'm asking you about your beliefs. So by discussing something about God, I can assume what your ideology is. Maybe you are Muslim or something like that. And I think that's all for my understanding. Any questions?
Can you give an example of CDA in political or media or whatever?
So the example of CD is basically, I would like to come up with an issue, racism. So in the racism, we do know how the words, something like the N word, are really convey the meaning about racism. I mean, that is the example of critical discourse analysis, and basically, there's are so many idioms that if you are not understanding the context, basically it's something that offended you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. My name is Sarah Salsabila Ismail. So I would like, you guys can ask the questions about CDA.
With your own word, what is critical discourse analysis?
Excuse me?
Explain in your own word, what is critical discourse analysis?
So critical discourse analysis is basically a terms that trying to find a meaning, the underlying meanings in the text, that focusing on some concepts such as socials and political issues. The concept they are the issues that trying to find is such as the racism, identity, ideologies, and something like that. That's how I understanding CDA. So, so foregrounding and backgrounding is basically the aspect of how we doing how we doing critical discourse analysis. So in the text level, we have a three step. The first one is how we framing the text. The framing the text is basically how do we yeah frames the text into knowing that what kind of text is that, and after that we foreshadowing, is that foreshadowing, foregrounding. So the foregrounding aspect, it is how we emphasize the topics or the concepts of the text, while the background is the background of the text. So it's basically when we're talking about Jakarta floods, the issues is the flood, but the foregrounding is the flood, but the backgrounded is how do we understand how we understand how often the flood happen in Jakarta. It's basically the habits, a thing like that.
Do you have a bit about the trends and tools that
So I would like to explain about the terms. I think it's about the basic principle. So the basic principle of critical discourse analysis, there are power relations that are constructed by the discourse. So we do know that discourse can construct the power relation of people. So it's basically, for the example, how based on discourse, we can see the power relation between a lecturers and students. How a lecturer can control their students toward in discourse. So the discourse that a lecturer use to the students are tutorially like command, an order, or something like that. And the second one, there are ideologies. How discourse can reflect someone ideologies. For example, I'm asking someone about I'm discussing with a people talking about God. So by those discussing, I can identify this people is atheist, this people is Muslim, this people is Christian, and therefore, right? I think that's all for my for my remember. Any questions, Hatta? Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, my name is Sarah Salsabila Ismail. You can feel free to ask.
okay? Maybe you'd like to ask about your general understanding about what is CDA and can you give like
So, based my own understanding about what is critical discourse analysis, it's basically the use of language in the context of social and cultural context that purposely are trying to find the underlying meaning in the texts that are concept like I said before, political, social, and cultural. These texts are basically most focusing on the issues such as racism, ideologies, identities, and something like that. That's how I define CDA. The example of the CDA itself. For the example, the racism. So how maybe, as I said before, the underlying meanings. So when you are saying something like, wait, the idioms that can be offended towards some people. Maybe the words like the N words can be described as the critical discourse analysis, because if you're not in the context to saying that word, it will be not people not going to be understanding. But if those white people telling that words to the black people, that's going to be really offensive. That is how I understand that.
do you know some tools in CDA?
So So basically, the tools that I understand is how do we doing critical discourse analysis. So in doing discourse analysis, they are also divided into two. How do we doing the text and how do we doing in the sentence? How do we analyze in the text is the first one, we have to framing the text. So we have to understand which kind of text it is. And after that, we have to foregrounding the text. Foregrounding means we have to find we have to emphasize the concept or the issues that are talking in the text. And after that, we background it. So we backgrounded mean we have to know the background knowledge in the text. For the example is the flood in Jakarta. So maybe the framing the text is a report text, and the issues that we found is the flood, the natural disaster, and the background that is how do we understand that flood in Jakarta is often to be happen. The reason that happened is basically we do know because that is a basic news that already happens all over the time in Indonesia. That is how I understand. 3:30.
Finding this topic hard.
Yeah, I find this topic hard because it's really sentimental toward the power, toward the ministry, toward the government, and there's so many things that I really don't understand actually, like the terms and the tool and the basic principle. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, my name is Salah Sabila Ismail. You feel free to ask.
Can you explain on how language is somehow related to the social issue, just like gender, racism, identity, and etc.
So we do know that we use language in everyday life. So it's basically are really related to the social issues such as gender identity
Racism,
and racism.
a lot of things.
Because that's how we learn discourse, because basically discourse are specialized those kind of groups into one, and they have the specialized kind of language. For example, when we're talking about gender, basically male and female language have a kind of difference when you're talking about the same thing, but when you're talking it to the woman or the man, their language are basically different. And after that, we're talking about the identities. So basically, as we learned in discourse and society before, every identities that we face in everyday life. For example, how we identify ourselves in the work field, how do we identify ourselves in our house, it's basically different, and its constructor is construct the new language, and the language that we use in different fields are different. So that is how language are really relate to the social issues. I mean.
So, what about discourse can reflect and related to the political issues, political problem?
So as we learn in this case, basically discourse can really affect power. For the really tiny example is how do we did it in the classroom. So the relation within the lecturers and the students, giving the lecturers a power to control their students. That is how it happens in the political issues. For example, how do ministry have their own language to command their followers their followers to did what they say, or maybe in the campaign. So because we do know that there are so many campaigns that happen lately. So for example, like Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Is it Joe Biden? Donald Trump, Kamala and Harris and Donald Trump, they do campaign, and their discourse are persuading people to choose them. They are using so many sweet words to persuading the society to choose them. And those kind of people have a different discourse towards the election to Indonesian presidents, because the language that they use is different. While the U.S. Language, they are towards making hate speech towards each other presidents. While in Indonesia, it is more into they are trying to prouding themselves. That's how political really affected language, because it's affected people to choose them.
Can you give me the examples of the practice of CDA in real life?
Maybe I would like to give an example about the racism. So, because we do know that CDA is basically the underlying meanings of the text in the social terms